मध्ये हेमपीठ अष्टदले वेष्टित अष्टदले प्रधान नायिका तर मध्ये हेमपीठ अष्टदले वेष्टित अष्टदले प्रधान नायिका तारा मध्ये रत्नासने बसियाछे दुई जने श्यामा संगे सुंदरी राधिका तारा मध्ये रत्नासने बसियाछे दुई जने श्यामा संगे सुंदरी राधिका ओ रूप लावण्य राशि आमी परिचे खासी हस परिहास संभाषणी ओ रूप लावण्य राशि आमी परिचे खासी हास्य परिहास संभाषणी नरोत्तम दास कोई नित्य लीला सुखमय सदाई स्फुरक मोरा माही नरोत्तम दास कोई नित्य लीला सुखमय सदाई स्फुरक मोरा मानी वृंदावन रम्य स्थान दिव्य चिंतामणि धाम रतना मंदिर मन हरि हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा माता जी
Hare Krishna Mataji, wonderful Kirtan. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes. In the end, we also sing Jai Shri Radhe Govinda. We sing like that, Mataji. Always we end with Prabhupada, glorifying Radha Govinda. Yes.
Okay, Mataji. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah. Jai Shri Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda. Jai Shri Radhe Govinda. Jai Shri Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Jai Shri Gauranitai. Jai Shri La Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Shri La Prabhupada. Hari Bol. So let's begin our chapter today, chapter 4, Jnana Yoga. I'll begin with my prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let's. Okay. Jnana Yoga, chapter 4. Let's. Transcendental knowledge. Is my audio clear?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Before we begin, let's pay our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda. Okay. This is what we learned in chapter 3, Karma Yoga. So Krishna answered some questions. So renunciation or action, Arjuna asked. Then Krishna spoke about Nishkama Karma Yoga, Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. And then he said lead by example. And he also spoke about our greatest enemy. So Lord Krishna prescribes action based on Nishkama Karma Yoga, rather than premature renunciation based on Jnana Yoga. He says even if you are qualified for renunciation, you have to still continue Nishkama Karma Yoga. And he gave examples of Maharaj Janak and all that. And then he said you should still continue, okay, to set an example. And lust is a formidable enemy on the path of yoga. And one has to conquer lust with deliberate spiritual intelligence. So he said, you steady your mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, which is Krishna consciousness. And then by spiritual strength, you can conquer this enemy known as lust. That's what he said. So let's go ahead and see what's in chapter 4, transcendental knowledge. Knowledge about Krishna, which is transcendental, evam parampara praptam. Krishna is the goal of all paths and the creator of Varnashrama system. Then Karma Yoga, section 3. Section 4 deals with sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. And section 5 is about summary of transcendental knowledge. So transcendental knowledge descends from Krishna himself in disciplic succession. We'll learn that. Then whoever knows the divine nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance, he is the one who is going to get liberated. And karma, he said, can be understood on the platform of jnana. And we can attain jnana through yagna, sacrifice, that we discussed in our last chapter also. And we have to understand this knowledge from a bona fide guru. And it's very, very important that we take shelter of a bona fide guru to understand this transcendental knowledge. So let's move on. Transcendental knowledge about Krishna. So the first 10 verses, 4.1 to 4.10, they tell about the history of Bhagavad Gita and who Krishna is, why he appears and when he appears, all this information in the first 10 verses. Importance of parampara. Transcendental knowledge about Krishna should be received by disciplic succession. This reveals the truth about Krishna's form, his birth, and his activities. Knowing these truths, one who takes shelter of Krishna becomes purified and attains Krishna. Okay. Who would like to recite this verse?
Shall I, Mataji?
Okay, Mataji. Sure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sri Bhagavanuvacha imam vimashvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manut ikshva kave bravit. The blessed Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So Krishna is saying, I have imparted this knowledge to sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed this knowledge to Vaivasvat Manu. So long ago, this knowledge was delivered to the royal order of all planets, all the leaders. They had to learn this knowledge, okay, starting from the sun planet. Why should they know? Because if the kings of all these planets understand this science of Bhagavad Gita, they will rule the citizens properly without any problem. And they will also protect them from material bondage, which is very important, which is lacking in our society, right? All the leaders, are they helping us to grow spiritually? Is that happening? So they have to know this so that they can help us, protect us from material bondage, lust. So all the rulers were actually obliged to impart this lesson to all their subjects, everybody in this, in their kingdom. they used to help them. They used to impart this knowledge by education, culture, and devotion. So that way, all the citizens, they knew that their ultimate goal is, what is the ultimate goal of life? Let us see, like we are in the 4th chapter. What do you think? What is success now, actually? Because we are in this human form. So what is the goal?
Goal is to serve the Lord and going back to Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, yes, please participate. It makes it so much more lively, the session. Okay. So, yes, the goal of human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. And we should take advantage of this knowledge and become successful. Successful in the sense, go back to Godhead, purify ourselves and go back to Godhead. So, this Bhagavad Gita is actually a standard book of knowledge. And it is coming down from very long time immemorial. So this is not fiction or some speculative knowledge. And it's also called apaurushaya. This knowledge is called apaurushaya because it is not coming from any human being. This is coming from the Supreme Lord himself. Just like how Vedic knowledge is supposed to be accepted as it is. Whatever Veda says, we accept. Just like that, whatever is given in Bhagavad Gita, we are supposed to accept without any interpretation. Okay, any mundane interpretation. So how it is coming down is shown. Okay, fun. Next verse. Who would like to recite this one?
Mataji, I'll recite.
Sure, Mataji.
Evam parampara praptam imam rajasya viduho sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic successions, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the successions was broken, and therefore the science as it is appeared to be lost.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita was not spoken for the first time. That we understand. Arjuna was not the first one to receive this knowledge. And Maharaj Ikshvaku brought it to earth to give it to all the saintly kings in the disciplic succession. This succession was broken in course of time. And that is what Krishna is saying. This science appears to be lost. Lord himself is saying, he found out that the disciplic succession was lost and the purpose is lost. If the message is not passed on properly, the purpose of the knowledge is lost, right? So we have to understand this properly from a bona fide guru. And this is real knowledge. We learn so many things in schools and colleges, right? They're all skills that help us maintain our body and soul together. They help us live in this world. That's also very important. We have to gather that knowledge because those are all skills that will help us in real life. But real knowledge is this. It's very important for all of us to learn and understand that the science of soul, because our education system is not actually teaching us this. We talk about morals and values and few things, but ultimate goal of life is not being taught. Prabhuji gives a very nice example. If somebody knows how to drive a car, it is like, he has some knowledge and then he's going, driving somewhere. And then where are you going actually? You need a destination, right? So the goal is, where are we going? So if you don't have an address where we have to reach, then what's the purpose? So it's like that. So let's move on. Okay. The knowledge of spiritual science has to be received in a parampara. So that's the criteria. If someone is a scholar, he says, oh, I know Sanskrit, I'm a great scholar, and I am fit to recite all the verses. That is not the qualification. It is not how it should be. Because when we, just by reading the verses, just by, learning Sanskrit, will not become anything. Because when we go to, when you want to learn something, we want to join a college, we go to a properly established college, right? We don't randomly just pick up some books and learn something and say, we don't put a board outside and say, I've read all the books of medicine, so I'm fit to be a doctor. Please come, I'll do surgery from tomorrow. Nobody will come. So that's not how it works. Same way, whatever we learn, spiritual knowledge has to be learned from a guru only. So the qualification is, and criteria to understand and propagate the spiritual knowledge is to belong to a parampara system. So there are 4 bona fide paramparas, like we see here, one originating from Lord Brahma, and the prominent Acharya, most prominent Acharya is Madhvacharya, and ISKCON, here in ISKCON we belong to this Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara. And then second one is originating from Mother Lakshmi, Sri Lakshmi, and the most prominent Acharya is Ramanujacharya. Third one is Rudra Parampara, originating from Lord Shiva, and the most prominent Acharya is Vishnu Swami. Fourth one is 4 Kumaras, originating from 4 Kumaras, and Nimbarkacharya is the most prominent Acharya. So there are so many interpretations and translations of Bhagavad Gita by so many demoniac people and all scholars, mundane scholars and all. They write according to their own mental speculation. They don't know who is Krishna. They know nothing. They'll give their own commentary. Okay. So such commentary, it's all useless. Okay. Prabhupada writes that there's no point reading such commentary. We will not get anywhere. So Krishna chose Arjuna to impart this knowledge, and Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord, and now he is also surrendered to him, right? He accepts him as the spiritual master. Whatever Arjuna is inquiring is not just for himself, it is for all of us. So we have to understand Bhagavad Gita, how Arjuna is understanding, just like that. Okay. Significance of parampara. The Bhagavad Gita is coming directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So once you understand Krishna is God, then you can actually understand what is happening here. So it is transcendental knowledge and must not be altered in any way. The knowledge of the Gita must be accepted without material interpretation or by mental speculation. It must be understood by the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita must be accepted from someone who has achieved the Lord's mercy. That is the proper qualification, having learned it properly from someone having the proper qualification who learned it properly. That is parampara. Prabhupada learned everything from his guru. He had a spiritual master, and his spiritual master had one spiritual master. So like that, we know the lineage. That's how we must learn. And this is just for our information. We have to just hear it. No need to memorize all this. Little bit about one day of Brahma. So let's see. So there are 4 yugas: Kali Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. Now Kali Yuga, if it is X number of years, Dwapar Yuga is double that, Treta Yuga is 3x, and Satya Yuga is 4x. Now together they make one Divya Yuga. One cycle of these 4 yugas is one Divya Yuga. Okay, and then you can see 71 Divya Yugas make one Manvantara. Okay, so one day of Brahma, which is called Kalpa, is actually 14 Manvantaras and 15 Sandhyas. Night is the same length also. So 4.32 billion years makes one day of Brahma. So you see, he creates, and he dies actually, his lifetime is only 100 years. At the end of his life, when he gives up his body, there is complete devastation. And that's what is given here. And that is 300, life of Brahma is 311.04 trillion years, 36,000 kalpas, days of Brahma, and an equal number of nights. He has such a long life. Okay. So then we calculate how old Manu is and how old his sun god is, and all this. This is Vedic mathematics. So this is just for us to understand. So far, Brahma has passed 50 years of his life. So that is 155.52 trillion years. 6 Manvantaras are over. So these many million years are over. 1,851.4285 million years. 27 cycles of 4 yugas are over. So 116.6400 million years are over. Satya, Treta, Dwapara Yuga are over. Now we are in Kali Yuga. So 3.888 million years. How many years in, how much time elapsed in Kali Yuga? 5,117 years. So based on this, so this is how it is. Life of Brahma is given here. 155.522 trillion years.
Mataji, till now 27 cycles of 4 yugas were over.
Yes, Mataji. And Krishna appears in the 28th Manvantara of 7th Divya Yuga. Something is there. That information will come in one of these slides. Yes, Mataji, that's what is given here. So we know soul is eternal, and we can understand by going through all this. Satya Yuga is over, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, all this is over. This is Kali Yuga. And imagine how many bodies we must have taken. We are still here. We haven't gone back to Godhead or spirit or to the spiritual world. So we can understand we are just roaming in this cosmic manifestation again and again, taking birth. So life of Manu, 27 cycles of 4 yugas are over. So 116.6400 million years are over. Satya, Treta, Dwapara Yuga. So 9 times this much, 3.888 million years. Time elapsed in Kali Yuga is this much, 5,117 years. So life of Manu is, if you add all this, it is 120.5331 million years. Accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivaswan. Gita was spoken 120 million years ago to Vivaswan. So now let's move to the next slide. Prabhupada gives reference also where all this is given in Mahabharata, because Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata only. So Prabhupada gives reference. In Shanti Parv, we'll find this. We can trace out the history like this. In the Mahabharata, Shanti Parva, 348.51 to 52, we can trace out the history of Gita as follows. Treta Yugadau cha tato Vivaswan Manave dadau Manu Chaloka Vrityartham Satu Ekshvakave dadau Ikshvakunascha Katito Vyapya Lokan Avasthitaha. In the beginning of the Treta Yuga millennium, this science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivaswan to Manu. Manu, being the father of mankind, gave it to his son Maharaja Ikshvaku, the king of this earth planet and forefather of the Raghu dynasty, in which Lord Ramachandra appeared. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in the human society from the time of Maharaj Ikshvaku. Our science talks about few thousand years back, right? If you open Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and all our scriptures, they are giving us like this information millions of years ago. So even science cannot explain this. So we have, it's like this. So let's move on. So by this calculation, Gita came to earth 2 million years ago. Okay, so 1 day of Brahma is 8,640,000,000 years. And then 1 hour of Brahma is 360 lakh years. 1 minute of Brahma is 60 lakh years. 1 second of Brahma is this much. In Krishna book, we have Brahma Vimohan Leela. You must read that. That's very interesting. Actually, he kidnaps all the Gopas. And then for him, it is like a moment. That's all. But on this planet, it would be already 1 hour, 1 year. 1 year, the boys are missing. But for Brahma, it is like barely, anything. It's just like a blink. Okay. Okay. Who would like to recite this one? Deepti Mataji, would you like to recite, Mataji? Pramod
Okay,
Prabhuji is
Mataji.
there, Prakash Prabhuji is there, Ramya Mataji, Santoshi Mataji, Seema Mataji. Everyone, please
Hare
take
Krishna.
turns, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratanaha bhakto asmi me sakha cheti rahasyam he itad uttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So there are 2 classes of men. Prabhupada writes in the purport, devotees and demons. For demons, it is not possible to understand this transcendental knowledge because it is a great mysterious science. Arjuna has already accepted the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the next few chapters also, we can see that in the 10th chapter, 11th chapter, the more we go into this book, we can understand how he already knew who Krishna was. It's like that. But the demonic people, they do not accept Krishna, Lord Krishna as he is. So they mislead everyone by their commentary. So Lord Chaitanya also is warning us against such misleading paths. There's no eternal benefit by reading those kind of books. So Arjuna's qualifications: Arjuna is a devotee and a friend. He accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, how, when and why Krishna appears will be answered now. So next verse, who would like to recite?
I can recite. Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivaspate katam etad vijaniyam tvamadu proktavan iti. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivishwan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Bhagavad Gita 4:4. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Is Arjuna doubting Krishna? Because Arjuna has actually heard this from Krishna. Now, Krishna said, I've already spoken this transcendental knowledge to sun god Vivashwan, and he gave, so many millions of years ago, I've been giving this information and all that. So he is saying, how come? We both are contemporary. They both are of almost the same age. So he's asking, how is this possible, Krishna? Do you think he's doubting Krishna? It's like when one of your friends says something, I'm the CEO of such a big company. He's like, come on, man, I don't believe this. Is it that attitude or what? Why is he asking him? How come? What do you think?
For the knowledge of the layman.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. So he has already accepted the Lord as as his spiritual master. He knows who is Krishna. This is for us. He's inquiring not just for himself, for all those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Krishna can himself speak authoritatively now and give out the correct information. He may appear as an ordinary person, but he is not. His birth was also peculiar. Birth in the sense, he does not take birth, he appears and it disappears. It's like when the sun appears in the sky, we cannot say sun has taken birth, sun is taking birth and sun is dying in the night. It's not like that. Right? Sun is there. It's just that day and night are taking place. So happening. It's like that. So sun we see sun appearing in the at dawn and disappearing in the sky in the night. Same way, Krishna appears and disappears, like that. He is there. His energies are everywhere. So we can't say Krishna took birth. It is like Krishna's appearance. So he first appeared as his Narayana form. When Devaki and Vasudeva saw him, first they saw him in his Narayana form, and then he turned into a baby. That's how it is given in the Shastras. So it was not like a human birth. And he's above all these modes of material nature. And then we'll see that in the 10th chapter also. Okay. And Arjuna actually relishes hearing about Krishna. Whenever Krishna says something about himself, he says, tell me more. I want to hear more about you. So why does Arjuna question about this doubt? To defy demoniac and atheistic people who say that Krishna is ordinary. He wants Krishna to speak authoritatively. Okay, Krishna reveals his position. How could you tell Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan if he is senior by birth to you? Okay, that is Parampara system. Then Parantapa. He's calling him Parantapa. Okay, see now. And he's inquiring very submissively. It's not an arrogant tone or anything. Very submissively, very humbly is requesting Krishna to speak. And he's calling Arjuna Parantapa. Parantapa means mighty hero who could subdue the enemies. We have such a mighty hero who can subdue enemies, cannot even recall what happened in the previous births. Because when this knowledge was given to sun god, Arjuna was also there with Krishna, but he does not remember. We forget, right? That is our limitation. That is the difference between us and Krishna. We living entities are, we are conditioned, and our limitation is that we don't even remember what we did 2 weeks back. at the same time, or whatever. If somebody says what did you do on such and such a date at such a time, we can't remember. Some people can't even remember what they ate yesterday or day before. It's like that. But imagine, previous birth, we definitely don't remember. But Krishna remembers all of his incarnations, all his appearances in every planet, and not just his, but he remembers each and everything about each and every living entity everywhere. And living entities are everywhere, not just on this planet. They are everywhere in the cosmic manifestation. So Krishna is the oldest person, but he never ages beyond youth. You see in the battlefield also, he looks like a very young person, like 20 to 25. He looks like that. He was actually very old. He had grandchildren at home. Both of them are beyond 90s, but they look very, very, Krishna looks like that. So he does not age. His body is not like ours. It's all transcendental. And when he was here, he performed amazing pastimes, wonderful activities. They were all superhuman. Nobody can just lift the Govardhan hill or kill all such dangerous demons and all, right? So his activities are also not normal. So, next verse, who would like to recite?
Shirai Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Bahuni me Vyatitani Janmani Tavacharjana Tanyam Veda Sarvani Natam Vedya Parantapa. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Please read the translation also, Prabhu.
The personality of God had said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Hare Krishna.
There is one more verse, Prabhuji. Can you please?
Number 4.6.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I recite Mataji 6?
Okay. Ajo api sannavya bhutanamishro api san prakitam swam distaya sambhavamyatma maya.
Yes, Atma Maya. Yes, Prabhuji. How about the translation also, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So this is Krishna himself saying, right? He is saying, I appear by my own Atma Maya, my own internal potency. So he's costless mercy, he appears. And then he also saying, Arjuna, you are very much present. It's just that you don't remember, but I remember each and everything that happened, And this Arjuna is an eternal associate of Krishna. They are Naranarayan, Naranarayan Rishi. He's always with Krishna. Wherever Krishna incarnates, wherever he goes for his pastimes, he takes some of his close associates. And Arjuna is also one of them. It's just that he does not remember. So, and he's telling is how he is. He's completely transcendental. Yeah, so he is a spiritual body. And we are not equal to Krishna. We'll never become equal to Krishna. So Krishna's form is spiritual. Our form is temporary. We are controlled by Maya. Krishna is the controller of Maya. See, our soul is covered by the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And then we have the gross body. Right? Gross body covers these two. So that's what is covering our soul. But for Krishna, that is not like that. His body, there's no difference between his soul and his body. Okay. And then he appears to punish all the miscreants, right? He says that. And he delivers them also by his costless mercy. All the demons he killed, they all attained liberation. And then by killing all these demonic people, he established the rule of Yudhishthira Maharaj and annihilated the Kauravas because their ruling was not proper. And then he says, I appear because of my own mercy. And then see, when he's saying all this so that, we don't imagine God by our own mental concoction or imaginations. Like, oh, maybe God is like this, God is like that. Nothing like that. So now we are getting clear information from Krishna himself. So specific purpose of his appearance is to mitigate the anxieties of all his devotees It is actually to give pleasure to his devotees. Come here and perform the Leela and all that. Because killing all these demons or creating some havoc, it's not a big deal for him. We can see just by one coronavirus, so many people went through so many kinds of miseries, right? So one little landslide or anything, any accident, anything is okay. It is not a big deal for Krishna to kill the demons. He appeared here purposely to, relish the, to give pleasure to his devotees. And we could also understand who he is actually, and many people, when he was walking around, they didn't even realize who he was. Very few people, only pure devotees really understood that he was actually the Lord himself. And so his body and his intelligence both do not deteriorate. He's uncontaminated in this material world. Okay. So this summarizes the differences between Krishna and the conditioned living entity. Krishna is eternal and remembers past, present, and future. He's Achyuta. He never forgets to reciprocate to his devotees, and he's infallible. Conditioned living entity is eternal. We are also eternal. Krishna is also eternal, but we are forgetful. He does not forget. He remembers all his births because body does not change or deteriorate. We forget because body changes, our body changes and it deteriorates. He appears by his own will. We are forced to appear by karma, right? We are pushed into this world. We can't even choose our own family. We have, because of our own karma, karmic accounts, and our own desires, we have to take some body out of so many lakhs of bodies. We'll be given some body. So we have to take that body. But for him, it's not like that. He can appear whenever by his own will. His body is transcendental. Ours is material. No difference between body and self. The soul acquires an external body. Gross body and subtle body. Here, gross and subtle. No difference between body and self. That's why it's called Advaita. Okay. Text 4.7 to 4.8 talks about his activities. It explains when and why Krishna appears, reasons of descent. When does Krishna appear? This is a very famous verse. So I'm sure all of us know this. So anyone who wants to try, whoever has not recited before, can try this.
Mataji, shall I?
Sure, Mataji.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तथात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare.
So this is an external reason what he is giving here. Okay, the translation, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Whenever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and the predominant rise of religion, at that time I descend myself.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So he's giving reasons why he appears. But this is an external reason. Krishna is so powerful that, as we know, he can do anything. But he's coming here for his devotees. Vasudeva and Devaki also wanted him to appear. And where do we find the principles of religion? He's talking about religion here, right? Where do we find the principles of religion? How do we know? Where can we find those? This answer is there in the purport also. Hare Krishna. You can just give some answer. It's okay. We'll discuss.
Like Mataji, it's Varnashrama. Are they following Varnashrama properly or not?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, actually, these principles of religion are found in the Vedas. Vedas are coming from the Lord himself, and that was given to Brahma into his heart. So Brahma, through Brahma, that's how we get Vedas. So the Vedas are also not written by any human being. This is directly, this information, instructions in Vedas are from the They're all completely coming from the Lord. So we cannot manufacture our own religion, a system of religion. Shastras are without the 4 defects. Okay, so we have to accept them as they are, because a living entity, whoever writes, all of us, living entities have 4 defects. They have imperfect senses. See, our senses cannot see beyond, right? They can experience until certain extent, that's all. Beyond that, we don't know. Our eyes, a nose, ears, whatever. So we have imperfect senses, and we have propensity to cheat, then tendency of committing mistakes, and certainty of being illusioned. We're all under illusion. So we have these 4 defects. A living entity cannot write something like this. So this is Apaurushaya, coming from the Lord himself. I cannot say, tomorrow I'm starting a new religion. Please, whoever is interested can come and join. We'll start. It's not like that. We have to follow the rules set by the Lord himself. And all the avatars, whoever we have seen so far, whoever has appeared, they're all mentioned in the scriptures already. If they are not mentioned in the scriptures, then that person is just lying. If somebody comes and says, look, I am an avatar of God, you have to pray to me, I'm like this, that. If he's not been mentioned anywhere in the scriptures, no, we cannot accept him as God at all. And then Lord Buddha also has been mentioned in the scriptures. So he appeared, he had a reason why he appeared, because of materialism and there was too much violence going on. So he had to appear to take care of that. So like that. And Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he's also been mentioned in a secret way. His appearance also been described in the scriptures. So if somebody is, name and features are not mentioned, then we cannot accept them. So next verse, who would like to recite this one? This is also a very famous shloka.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So let's see that. Yes, Mataji, translation.
To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium.
Okay, Mataji, let's go on, move ahead. Then, what is the benefit of knowing Krishna's appearance and activities? Who would like to recite this one?
Shall I read, Mataji?
Okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyakva deham punarjanma naiti mam iti. So Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So this is one of the most important verses in Bhagavad Gita. This is like a golden verse of Bhagavad Gita. So why are we putting so much efforts in understanding Krishna? If we understand Krishna, then if we understand this verse, then understanding Bhagavad Gita will become very easy. So knowing Krishna means understanding, realizing, understanding that Krishna is imperishable, is full of knowledge, he's eternally blissful. So if we understand this, then we can understand his instructions also. Many people cannot understand spiritual existence because they are materially attached so much. They cannot. We can see in the society also, there are so many motivational speakers. There are so many biographies of so many people. And by reading all that, there is no eternal benefit. It will help us, little bit it might inspire us, but it cannot really do much. It cannot solve our real problems. That's how it is. But if we understand this transcendental knowledge, our real problems, birth, death, old age, disease, and whatever our real miseries are, that also we can solve. We can live in this world properly. And after death also we get protection by Krishna, because we can attain spiritual body and go back to the spiritual kingdom. Otherwise, we'll be stuck in this same, why am I suffering? Why am I suffering? The same thing. And some people think they can actually make this world a better place and live here eternally, peacefully. That's not going to happen, because the design of this material world is such that it is designed for us to, go through our karmic accounts, everything, suffer here and purify ourselves. So it's never going to be a perfect place to live. So that's how it is created. So this knowledge helps us to regulate our senses also. Then we can attain eternal peace also. We all can become Atmaram just by understanding this transcendental knowledge. So next verse, who would like to recite?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Pitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupasrita bhavo gnanatapasa puta madbhavam agataha, being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So to know Krishna, this is the eligibility criteria. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha means to be free from attachment, fear and anger. Only then we can understand him. And he says also in the next verse, has all surrendered unto me, I reward them accordingly. So everybody is actually looking for the absolute truth in their own way. So let's understand this. Different degrees of attachment. Affliction. Raga, strong attachment to material life, leads to negligence of spiritual life. There is so much to enjoy in this world. So there is no time for spiritual life. That is raga. Bhaya means fear of personal spiritual identity. For them, merging into impersonal is highest. Bhaya, fear, it's like, I'm suffering because of this body. This body is giving me so much pain. So what does that mean to be liberated? No body. There need not be any body, right? So there's probably no body, no form, nothing. All I have to do is just merge into this impersonal something and then just be without feeling, without thoughts, without anything. Just merge, then just be peaceful. That is spiritual life. That is there. That's what they think. So because they're too absorbed in material bodily concept of retaining personality after liberation from matter frightens them. That means we have no personality, nothing. It's like committing spiritual suicide. It's like that. Impersonalists compare living entities to the bubbles in the ocean which merge into the ocean. That's the analogy. Krodha, conception of void, resulting from frustration of life. Okay, it becomes angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopefulness. Krodha, anger. See, such a person takes to intoxication, accepts hallucinations as spiritual vision. Anger, because they're very frustrated with life and they hear so many different philosophies and they are very confused and they have faced so many reverses in their life that, they just don't know what to believe anymore. So because of that, they take some easy, way to feel themselves, happy. They take in intoxications. And then there are people like this. They think they are looking at something, but actually it's all hallucination. Once somebody came and told Prabhupada, it seems, Prabhupada, when I'm chanting, I see this light, green light, red light, and yellow light, something like that. I'm seeing so many things. So Prabhupada was like, keep chanting, all that will go away. That's what he said. So it was all, our mind can create so many visions for us. So we have to be very careful. So Krishna can be understood only by pure, unalloyed devotees. So there is a relationship between God and us. It's not some imagination. Okay. Applying transcendental knowledge. Let's read this. By hearing about Krishna, many persons in the past became purified and attained love of Krishna. They attained love of Krishna because this was their desire and Krishna fulfilled it. What if someone takes shelter of Krishna with something other than a desire to achieve transcendental love for him? As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. O son of Pritha, I get the concept of God based on how much I am ready. Okay, I get the concept of God. It depends on how much we are willing to surrender. Based on that, Krishna will reciprocate. So, text 4.11 explains Krishna's reciprocation with such category of souls. Let's see how he reciprocates. Ye tamam prapadyante tam tateva bhajamyam. Who would like to recite this one?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yatamam prapadyante tam tataiva bhajami aham mama vartmano vartante manusya partha sarvasaha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. To fruitive workers who want some, fruit of their action. For them, he reciprocates as Igneshwara. And there are yogis who want mystic powers. They'll get it. Krishna will say, okay, fine, you want yogic power, have it. And some people desire to be, they want to eat only meat. So you can imagine what all will happen to them. So then, different, based on their own desires, Krishna will keep on providing that kind of a body and environment for them. So in the transcendental world, what happens? There also there is reciprocation. Some people want to relate to Krishna, they want Krishna as the supreme master. Some, they're just happy just being around Krishna. They don't have to talk or dance with him also. Just being around, Shantarasa. They're very happy. They like that kind of relationship. And there are people who want to be friends with Krishna. And some want to see him as a son. Some want him to be their lover. So whatever it is, based on their own nature and the kind of affection they have, he will reward them accordingly. So in the transcendental world, the relationship is transcendental. So that's what he's saying. And people who want to merge into this Brahman, Krishna will let them, he absorbs them into the effulgence. But there is no bliss over there. There is no, only the real true happiness comes out of the enjoying the relationship, right? There's no service to the Lord. There is no interaction between the Lord and us. So what kind of liberation is that? But such a person also will fall back again. Whoever goes to this Brahman effulgence, they will also fall back into this world, again take birth. Because unless and until we come to the platform of bhakti, there is no true liberation happening. There is no perfection of our spiritual life. But Krishna is not forcing us. He's not like, see, we can wonder why is not Krishna giving us love naturally? Like, why can't he give us Krishna prema? Why all this? But he's not going to force his presence on us. It's like, say, we can force somebody, why don't you love me? Why don't you love me? Why forcing husband? Please love me. Forcefully, we cannot, get anybody's love. It has to be natural. So a person naturally serving Krishna out of complete love is very, very different. So that kind of natural love, complete Krishna prema, will happen when a person is very highly elevated. So that is ultimate stage of bhakti. So 4.11, Krishna rewards everyone according to their surrender. 3 levels of realizing absolute truth. Who realizes Krishna fully? Only pure devotees. Okay, 3 levels we know: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. We discussed this in our previous chapters. Then everyone is looking for Krishna in different aspects of his manifestation. Everybody wants to get the highest spiritual knowledge, right? They are looking for the absolute truth. Krishna is object of everyone's realization. He is one who understands that all the Vedic knowledge is meant just to understand Krishna. Then everything becomes so much easier for us. Krishna reciprocates based on our desires. Fruity workers, he reciprocates as Igneshwara. Impersonalists as Brahma Jyoti. Yogis, mystic powers. Devotees, 5 primary rasas. Do you know the 5 primary rasas? Shantarasa, Dasirasa, Sakyarasa, Vatsalyarasa and Madhuryarasa. These are 5 primary rasas. It is like Shantarasa is like his flute, his peacock feather, all the other things that we see around him. They're all serving Krishna too. Whenever Krishna used to walk in Vrindavan, even the trees used to greet him, it seems. It's like that. All the flowers, they're all just enjoying his presence over there. That is Shantarasa. Sakyarasa, Dasyarasa is there. Sakya is, Arjuna himself, he's a good example. And then there is Vatsalya Rasa is like Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and then Devaki, Vasudev. That is Vatsalya Rasa. Then Madhurya Rasa are all the gopis, Radharani. They relate to Krishna in Madhurya Rasa. But everyone depends on Krishna's mercy for success. Without coming to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts are imperfect. Akama sarva kamova. This is also given in Bhagavatam. Okay, who would like to recite this one? We'll do 1 or 2 more slides and we can stop because we finished 50% of the chapter. We'll do the other half next weekend. Meanwhile, you can read all the purports and, understand all these slokas. Hare Krishna. Who would like to recite?
I'll recite Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Kangsantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devata क्षिप्रम हि manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So people go to demigods. We want some, they want something out of the demigod. That's why they go. It's like a deal also. Most of the time it's like business. You give me this, I'll give you back this. It's like that. Some, they offer something to the Lord, to the demigod, and say, I have this desire, please fulfill it for me. And there are so many demigods for different, fulfilling our things. Like like we go to Ganesha to removal of all the obstacles, and we have Saraswati for education, right? Like that, there are so many other demigods for so many different reasons. So people usually go there. But if we are worshipping Krishna directly, we don't need all this. No need to worship the others, because Krishna, if you satisfy Krishna, everybody else is automatically satisfied. And there are people who think, like they think they can just be happy here just by doing this, go to the temple, beg for some, I want promotion, I want this, I want that. They are still stuck in this. By thinking like that, they'll be stuck in this material world, because they'll be stuck with all this material attachment. There will be no progress at all. They'll have to take another body, because when they're leaving the body, all these unfulfilled desires will come and haunt them. They cannot think about God and give up their body. They'll be thinking about all their desires. Who will take my property? What will happen to this, that? They'll be thinking a lot of, I wanted to enjoy my great-grandchild. This kind of material attachment and all this affection, all this will hold us back. We'll never go back to the spiritual world. Take another body, suffer again. So we have to be very careful. So differences between demigods and Krishna. See, demigods are also, who are demigods? Do you remember we discussed this in our previous chapters? Who are demigods?
Ministers of Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. They are empowered administrators of material affairs. That's what Prabhupada has written, right? And they are very powerful, actually. They are powerful living entities. But they want to serve the Lord, but they also want some control over, something. So Krishna has allowed that. He's like, okay, fine, you serve me, but you want to have this power over some material planets. So, okay, you can do this also. They're very powerful. They're appointed by the Lord, and they have given, they maintain, supervise all the material functions. Like whatever we are getting, air, water, all the light, and whatever we have, everything is coming from the demigods. So it's very important to respect them. But at the same time, we should know how they relate with us and God, Krishna himself. They are just serving Krishna. So that we must remember. So they always worship Supreme as obedient servants. Okay, and Krishna is the supreme whole, supremely worshipable. And demigods are created by Supreme. They are just like us. They also have Paramatma in their heart. They exist within material nature, but Krishna is beyond material creation. He's the supreme controller and delegated with various grades of power to manage the affairs of the universe. Just like in a company, we have different departments, right? We have accounts department, we have a front desk, we have somebody who takes care of, if the system fails, there's some person, all this. Like that, they are different, departments, and they take care of that. Subordinate to the will of the Supreme. Whenever they are in trouble, they access Vishnu. They immediately, they know that, the Supreme Lord, he's in control. Anything, but demons are not like that. They don't accept that. But demigods, they immediately, anything happens, they immediately contact Vishnu. See, there is some problem. What do we do? Like that. And then have material bodies. They have material bodies, hence subject to birth, old age, disease, and death. They have their own planets also. They come under the influence of the three material modes of nature to different extents. But Krishna is not like that. He's supremely independent, completely spiritual body, no birth, death, old age, disease, completely beyond the influence of the three material modes, eternally the same, is same Supreme Lord. That is the difference. Okay, we can do this slide and stop. Next, we'll discuss next week. Who would like to recite this one? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Chaturvanyamaya shashtam guna karma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apimam viday akartam avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable.
Okay. Hare Krishna Mataji. So Varna, occupational duty, and then ashrama means spiritual order. So if somebody is attached to their own business, doing some business, Krishna says, okay, do that. He gives instruction, stay in that Varna, follow the prescribed duty. So what is the foundation? What is the reason behind these divisions? What is the basis, Hare Krishna. What is the foundation of behind these divisions? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. It is not by birth. It is by guna and karma, right? I'm sure you have heard about this. Okay. As per their material modes of nature, whatever is prominent in that person, there is work ascribed. So they have to do that work. And then in the sense, see, these brahmacharis actually, brahmacharis, and then grihasthas, vanaprastha, and then we have sannyasashrama. These brahmacharis, that's how they were trained long back. The system was very, very well designed, so beautifully done. See, these brahmacharis, what they do, they sacrifice, in the sense, they learn self-control. They don't run towards sense objects. They have to withdraw their senses. They have to hear Vedic scriptures. They have to serve the Lord. They have to constantly be, engaged in serving the spiritual master. So that way they are also trained how to behave when they enter the grihastha. They are taught, trained properly. So once they enter their grihastha, they actually know how to conduct themselves, how to perform charity, how to give charity, how to perform all the sacrifices, how to treat their family, where to apply attachment, how to be detached. They learn all this. And by 50, they are slowly moving towards this vanaprastha, and after that, they take sannyasa. The men take sannyasa. So this system was so beautifully designed. It's like that. It actually helps us to progress towards our spiritual, path. Otherwise, today we see that's not there, right? Even at 80, 90, people are just into everything. They watch politics also. They are discussing all kind of matters. There is no discussion of spiritual matters. They're not worried about where they are going after they give up this body. So that's not happening. But if this system was very beautiful that way. Okay. Chaturvarnyam Maya system means this was created by Krishna himself. Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these classes because he is creator and not a conditioned soul. Varnashrama Dharma, division based on guna and karma, is the creator. See, Vaishnava is beyond all these four. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. A Vaishnava is higher than all of these. It does not come under any of these. Higher than a Brahmana also. See, Brahmana is in the mode of goodness. Kshatriya is in the mode of passion. Vaishya, mode of passion and ignorance. Shudra, mode of ignorance. Okay. Purpose of this system, elevate from animal status to human status. People could purify themselves by regulating desires. Like a grihastha. He can stay in grihastha ashrama and follow some rules. He can still engage in sense gratification, but there are some limitations. Regulation is there. Process of purification for one whose material desire inhibits him from directly approaching Krishna. Systematically develop Krishna consciousness. Slowly we are going towards Krishna consciousness. Brahmana by quality is supposed to know Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, but most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman. One who transcends, this is Vaishnava, one who transcends limited knowledge and reaches knowledge of the supreme personality of Godhead is a Vaishnava. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions like Lord Rama, Narsimha, etc. Lord Krishna and one in Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all divisions of society. And then they're all important. It's not like one is superior to another. Brahmanas are compared to the head. They are situated in the mode of goodness and they're compared to the head. They are supposed to be like the leaders who guide the rest of the society. Kshatriyas are compared to the arms, Vaishyas to the thighs, and then Shudras to the legs. We cannot say legs are more important than the head or thighs are more important than arms. We cannot say that. All these four, we need all these four divisions in the society for the society to function properly. And then brahmacharis are compared to legs, grahasthas to the belly, and then vanaprasthas to the arms, and sannyasa, ashrama to the head. Sannyasis are like, again, spiritual masters. And then they have their own functions. So nobody is superior or inferior. So we'll do one thing. We'll stop here. We'll do the rest next weekend. I'll stop the live stream.